Painting over wallpaper is easy, but there are a few things you need to look out for. So, first of all, how well is the paper on? How bad are the joints? Is there any edges lifting? You may need to go around and do some sticking back. So either ready mix paste, a pot and brushes, or if it's a small amount, overlap adhesive. So you can use seam rollers, well, wooden roller and sponge roller. Generally, I don't really use these unless I'm putting a paper on. Once it's on, if there's an edge coming up, it's a matter of just gluing it back down. So you may go around and glue a lot of the edges, but inevitably, as soon as you put your paint on the paper, it'll rework the paste. It can soak into the paper and you'll get bubbles, edges lifting. Certain vinyls, washable vinyls, the moisture won't get through, it'll sit on the surface. So yeah, some papers definitely, once you put the paint on, it'll start to absorb it and you may have problems. Leave it to dry, don't touch it, just wait. Some edges that are lifting, you can use a bit of your paint. No point in using any of this at that stage. Use some of your paint, brush it in, allow it to soak the paper for a little bit, 15-20 seconds, and then roll back over it. Shouldn't have a problem there. Overall, most papers are paintable. You may get the odd exception. You may need to use something like Zinsser cover stain, which will help give a good prime surface. Something to paint onto, can bridge some of the gaps in the joints, stopping stains really, which overall you shouldn't get. You may get brown marks appearing on the wall where possibly there is a nail, a pin behind, rusting. So the paper that's on, you might not see it, but as soon as you put some paint over it, you could get a brown spot. So tin of spray at that point, let it all dry, tin of spray. A good tip, if you are painting over the paper, is, especially in kitchens, is to wipe down the paper first. Just allow your paint to sit better. Then texture. Again, before painting, weigh up what the texture is like. You may have fell out with the colour, but the pattern is going to be very obvious when you paint over with some of these papers. Even though these are quite smooth, if there's a texture in the paper, then it's going to show through the finish. Even smooth papers, so this is a wipeable paper, not completely washable, just wipeable, very smooth, almost like a good quality lining paper. Anything like this, any bad joints, any lumps behind the paper, any uneven plasterwork, once you get the paint on, is going to be very visible, especially these joints down the wall. So you may think it's smooth, but it can just look 10 times worse when you put the paint on. Textured ones, a lot better, but again, you're going to be left with that pattern on the wall. So this one's a striper one, but we'll have a look at them in a minute. But yeah, when it comes to painting, should you prime it or not? Always test an area. So in a room, if you've got a chimney breast and the door here, test it on the least visible side of the chimney breast. Put some paint on, see how the paper reacts, let it dry. With a damp cloth, give it a bit of a rub, but you'll have to give it time to dry. generally, once it's touch dry and you look at it and it looks fine, you shouldn't have a problem. So this one is the scrubbable matte. I've already gone over these and I've been rubbing at them. This one is an ordinary vinyl matte, wipeable. You can see how it started to work up. So these are pretty much how they'll behave. They're not that tough. This piece here is silk, and then again these pieces, wipeable vinyl matte, scrubbable matte with silk on top. So it completely behaves differently, really good. It just works up. I don't expect this to work up, I know this will be okay. Not too bad. Again, shouldn't be any problems there. So like I say, I've been all over these papers and I've done the same thing to each one. By far the better one is this wipeable matte. There is a difference. And then throughout the papers, this is quite a shiny vinyl, slightly textured. You can see how it started to wear off. Bearing in mind these have only had 4 hours to dry, but overall not too bad. A little bit worn off there, but it's okay. It's only had 1 coat, not fully dry. Again, just Dulux silk, vinyl silk. And they've all done the same, relatively the same. The wipeable matte not performed very well. So again, they're all sort of a vinyl, slight textures to them. So you can see the same as happened with the washable, wipeable, I keep saying washable. Just comes straight off. Not all the time you do need a primer, but if you do have any problems, then obviously you're going to have to. But test an area. If you test an area, you shouldn't have any problems. You'll be aware of what you're up against then. And by far the worst paper of all of these is this sort of hammered brass type look. This metallic finish. Very shiny, like I say, very sharp raised pattern to it. When I applied the paint, this side is the scrubbable and this side is the wipeable, and I put the silk here instead of down there. So yeah, all the others were at the bottom, so you can clearly see the difference. So scrubbable, wipeable, and then silk on top. So it's performed better, but definitely I think that would need a primer. Strip it off and just put something else on. Line it and paint it. But yeah, definitely always test a patch. And remember, if you're doing any test patches, if you're finishing the whole job with a roller, then apply the test patches with a roller, so you're just not going to mess up any finish. Do them in a hidden area, shouldn't have any problems. Like I say, these two are about the worst, but everywhere this wipeable matte is, it's come off. And then overall, other than that, strong colours. Just choose a good paint where you're going to get the opacity. Really shouldn't have any problems. If you do get stains coming through, water stains, rust marks, use a spray and that'll help maintain the finish that you're doing. rather than brushing it on. You could roll it again, but sometimes spraying is better. Quicker drying as well.